We love a beach holiday.
Pure indulgence.
It's a chance to take time out.
Hang out in villas, drink cocktails, be a bit bougie.
Oh, I need one of those.
Relax, recharge.
And you can watch the world go by.
It's fantastic.
And soak up the sun, sea.
It reminds us of when we were young.
And sand.
Lovely white sand, long beaches, wiggle my toes.
When these holidays go right...
What wonderful, carefree times you can have.
Exhilarating.
Life can be beachy.
It's just an incredible experience.
But when things go horribly wrong... You'll be all at sea.
Bam! I might not make it out of this.
Coming up, the holidaymaker gets burnt in the Balkans.
It started to become like a horror holiday.
It looked like her face was melting.
It's like she's got another layer of skin.
I feared that my face was never going to be the same again.
There are red flags at the seaside as a mother's worst nightmare becomes a reality.
Then the smell hit me.
It was human poo.
And a parasailer finds herself clinging on for dear life.
Something's really wrong.
He's upside down.
Oh my God.
200 feet in the air, terrifying.
That was terrifying.
When beach holidays go horribly wrong. With almost 10,000 miles of pristine blue coastline, Greece is one of the most popular tourist destinations after Spain.
It's the perfect escape if you're looking to go for a swim, relax, eat great food.
And with over 227 different islands and over 6,000 islets, there really is the perfect spot for everyone.
The Greek islands are my favourite destination for a beach holiday.
Everyone's seen Mamma Mia. We know what it's like with those azure seas.
You've got hundreds of islands in the archipelago that you can explore.
They're just absolutely picture perfect.
You just can't get better than a Greek island for a beach getaway.
And 26-year-old Josh from Kilkenny in Ireland couldn't agree more. So he decided to spend the summer living on the beautiful island of Zakynthos.
I love getting the chance to meet new people. So in 2018, I travelled to Greece, where I worked and lived for almost 4 months.
Zante gets incredibly busy and, well, there's an awful lot of people having quite a lot of fun there, I've noticed.
I worked for a local tour boat company where my job was to get as many of the tourists walking up and down the strip on a daily basis to choose our boat for their trip.
Josh didn't have too much trouble selling tickets for his tour because the trip visited the #1 tourist hotspot on the island, the world-famous Navagio Beach, also known as Shipwreck Beach, named due to a smuggler's ship that washed ashore in 1980.
Shipwreck Beach is a beautiful beach on Zante.
It's fantastic.
The water there is stunning. It's a cloudy blue. It's unlike any other water anywhere.
And after 4 months of sending tourists to enjoy this picture-perfect beach, Josh finally arrived to see the sights for himself and relax in this idyllic location.
It's a real moment when you kind of just lay eyes on the beach at first.
Beautiful sand.
It's always completely packed with people.
And you're just thinking, this is heaven.
Getting off onto the beach and just sitting down there and looking around. I was debating, is this the highlight of my trip or not? It's that kind of feeling, you know?
Isn't this just wonderful?
I was just sitting there taking some photos. Out of nowhere, I hear this massive crack. We didn't know what it was at this stage. I mean, it's a terrorist attack.
Earthquakes are fairly common in that region.
Sunbathers are picking up their towels, they're running.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It sounds like thunder.
This almighty slab of rock. Crash into the ocean.
It's the most terrifying scene.
Oh my God!
It's about a 4-story building falling from the sky.
Pouring into the sea.
Something like that just completely takes it by shock.
Oh my God!
How on earth did that piece of cliff just come off?
Thousands of tons of rock that can create tidal waves.
I started just running, quite literally just running for my life.
It's the most shocking scene.
Chaos.
As soon as it kind of hit the water, the splash came up at least a few meters high.
It's like something from a disaster movie.
And I didn't think that it was going to knock me off my feet, but I mean, the power of water is another thing, you know, when it's moving at that speed, like, absolutely just cleaned me off my feet.
I would have been panicking.
The whole rock came away.
I didn't know how much more was going to fall. I figured the further away I get to the other side of the beach, the better.
Look, there's a speedboat there. There were people there.
People were scared for their life. They just wanted to get off that beach.
But unfortunately, there was no easy way out.
The whole beach is surrounded by a big U-shaped cliff. There's only one way off that beach is back onto the boat, and there's plenty of other cliff all here. Is the rest of it going to go?
And Shipwreck Cove, this big part here, this just collapsed.
It was such a huge piece of the cliff to come off.
It was a very, very, very serious event.
Boats, absolutely total.
Literally just 10 minutes prior to when that happened, I was standing right where the rocks had fallen.
It could have been him underneath that rock. It could have been any of the sunbathers on that beach.
The thought that's going off in everyone's head is, I wonder, is anyone dead?
Unaware if anyone was trapped under the rubble, the emergency services stepped in to evacuate the beach safely.
They took control of the scene from there and said to everyone, onto your boats.
Thank God.
And discover how many people had been injured or worse in this dreadful incident. After a grueling 24-hour search and rescue mission, the local authorities released the news everyone was praying for.
We got confirmation that, you know, everyone's accounted for. It could have went really, really bad. To be honest, if it was 2 hours later, there'd be twice, if not 3 times the amount of people on the beach.
It's a miracle that nobody died.
Yeah, I certainly felt very lucky to get away there with my life.
While no one lost their lives, not everyone escaped unscathed. At least 7 people were injured. The beach is now closed to tourists to prevent another life-threatening incident.
We have seen loss of life in similar events, and so I think closing the beach was the right decision.
I'd love to go back one day, even if it is just viewing it from the boat. At least I was one of the last few people that got to set foot on the beach, right?
I think the lesson to take away from this is, if there's a sign saying danger of falling rocks, you should pay attention to it.
Oh my God!
So, what makes a really good beach holiday?
Beautiful beach, of course. Lovely white sand, crystal clear water.
I just want to really switch off. A good book, some good music and my headphones.
And you want good weather, good food, and good drink.
And of course, some sun lovers like me love to show off their beach bods, which is exactly what this yoga-loving influencer hoped to do. The camera's propped up ready to capture the perfect angle of her moves.
I am just going to have a record of this wonderful day that I am having.
But there was something she hadn't expected.
This seagull goes, hell no.
That seagull's not going to steal my phone, is it?
I want your camera. I'm taking your phone.
They will just go for anything.
You expect them to go after your chips, not your phone.
If you can't tell what it is from a distance because you're a seagull, well, you're just going to go and get it anyway and then decide later whether it's going to make a tasty meal or not.
The lucky part was that the seagull dropped it, because I had visions of the seagull flying above her and just taking the phone to its babies.
I'm tempted to say it wanted the phone because it wanted to do a tweet. Sorry.
Oh, damn it, moving swiftly on. She didn't get the snap she was looking for, but these unsuspecting sunseekers at a beach in Mexico got a bit more snap than they bargained for.
No.
Get out! Get out! Get out! Hey!
You don't want to be on a beach where someone has to tell you to move because a crocodile is coming.
Excuse me? Did you say a crocodile? Walking through the sun lounges like he owns the place. Is this a regular occurrence?
This is like a 2-for-1, right? You're going on a beach holiday, but you've also got a safari.
Instead of running, people have got their phones out.
The nonchalance.
Mate, I could eat you. I tell you one thing, though, once you've seen that, what are they going to do there? Oh, I'll just nip in there and cool off.
I ain't going back on that beach. I ain't getting back in that water. They could just get you with one snap. I wanted to go to the beach, not a zoo. Can you please bring forward my return flight? I'm going home.
And if the sight of a croc doesn't have you packing your bags to jet off home, then maybe this will be the goodbye wave that pushes you over the edge.
Whoa, get off the beach.
Those waves have so much power.
There's towels getting wet. Sandcastles going down. People running away like it's the day after tomorrow.
Freak waves happen.
Thank goodness for this video, by the way, because how are you telling that to the insurance company?
The best thing about a beach holiday is lying back, basking in the sun, before heading home with that golden glow to show your sun-kissed skin to all your friends and family.
Really what you're looking for is good weather.
Just somewhere you can really relax and lie on a beautiful bed or on the sand and just enjoy the view.
I want to be slathered in SPF and just taking in every ounce of sun ray that I can.
And when 26-year-old beautician Shirin wanted to top up her tan, she decided to treat her dad to 4 days in the sun.
As a firefighter, he does a really hard job saving lives, and I wanted to reward my dad.
Fair play to you, Shirin, taking your old dad on holiday.
I wanted it to be just that real daughter-father quality time.
Message to my children, I'm free.
Being from Turkish descent, the father-daughter duo loved the sun and were looking for somewhere hot. And Bulgaria seemed like the perfect choice.
Bulgaria has recently become a very popular tourist destination to go for a beach holiday.
It's really popular with families, with package holidays.
It's beautiful and it's somewhat untouched as well.
And it's affordable.
In recent years, Bulgaria has seen a 34% rise in tourists flocking to spend their days relaxing on the 200 miles of glorious beaches. And with temperatures known to top 40 degrees, it's a great location for those seeking the sun.
The resort that we booked was on Sunny Beach.
Sunny Beach has boomed in popularity because it's great value, it's got some amazing hotels, and obviously the weather is absolutely phenomenal.
It's definitely a great place to book a holiday.
We were super excited. We arrived at the resort, checked in.
She's ready to just sunbathe, top up her Turkish heritage tan, and just relax with her dad.
After arriving, there was only one thing for it: nab a sun lounger and start to soak up those rays.
We went and put our swimsuits on and then jumped in the pool. The sun was shining, it was super hot. I was drying off in the sun. I somehow dozed off.
It's gorgeous weather. You can't help but drop off for a few minutes, can you?
As I woke up, I was sweating intensely. I felt very nauseous, felt very dizzy.
People do fall asleep in the sun, and this is one of the dangers of doing so.
I suddenly realised I hadn't worn any sunscreen.
We've all been there, but if you don't have your sun cream on, you are going to wake up an incredibly different colour to the one you fell asleep in.
I felt like my forehead was on fire, and when I did touch my forehead, it was very sensitive.
It's easy, coming from the United Kingdom, to underappreciate quite how powerful the sun can be.
No one really wants to get burnt on the first day, do they?
Realising her mistake, Shirin headed back to the hotel to try and find some shade and recuperate.
When I got back to my hotel room, I sort of started to notice that I was a bit more sore, a bit more sensitive. When I washed my face, it was very painful to touch.
She's 1 day in and can't spend any more time in the sun.
But unfortunately for Shirin, things weren't set to improve.
The next day, I went into the bathroom. What's this? My skin looked crispy.
It's like she's got another layer of skin.
It looked like her face was melting.
The idea that you can look in the mirror and see this crepey, plasticky face staring back at you, it's horrible.
But it shows that just a momentary lapse in concentration can have quite big consequences.
I was actually really scared for my appearance and my skin.
This is the equivalent of a second-degree burn that she's given herself.
My first thought was to just keep putting on sunscreen, but as the morning sort of went on, it got a bit more painful, my skin felt tighter. I feared that my face was never going to be the same again.
with her heritage, she could develop hyperpigmentation.
Fearing for her normally perfect complexion, Shirin was left feeling self-conscious about her appearance for the remainder of her holiday.
I felt really insecure. People would look at me and stare at me and sort of talk amongst themselves, and that made me feel really anxious.
If I had sunburn, I would probably be embarrassed as well.
It started to become like a horror holiday.
I really feel for her at this point because it was a genuine, innocent mistake.
My dad just tried to comfort me and tell me to focus on our own stuff and not to worry about what other people were looking at.
It was nice to have someone like that there who cared for you.
He just made me feel better.
Shirin's hopes of lazy days on the beach with her dad were left in tatters, as sun exposure was off the menu for the rest of their trip to prevent any further damage.
4 days passed really slowly, and frankly, I just wanted to go home.
And when she did get home, although the holiday was over, unfortunately for Shirin, the issues with her skin were not, as now it was starting to peel.
One thing I was really worried about was any scarring on my face or any pigmentation that was going to be left on my face.
As somebody that really cares about her skin and her appearance, it must have been absolutely heartbreaking to see your face quite literally peeling off.
It was like a layer of skin trying to separate itself.
One awful bout of sunburn can have an effect 20, 30, 40 years down the line.
So I've got these, and this here.
After 4 weeks of worrying that she'd cause lasting damage to her skin, finally things started to look up.
I started to see that my skin was going to be okay. This is my skin. All my skin had started to come off. It's pretty clear now. And the brand new skin underneath was showing.
She looks great. She looks just as good as she did before she went out in the sun.
I'm really happy about my skin.
I'm just so happy that now her face is lovely and back to normal.
But I don't think she's ever going to sit out in the sun again without sunblock.
It just goes to show, just because you've got darker skin doesn't mean that you're invulnerable to the sun.
Having learned of the dangers of the sun the hard way, Shirin decided to share her story on TikTok to warn others of the importance of sun cream.
Within 4 to 5 hours, it had reached over 1 million views. I think it was a really positive message to send out to show people that if you do not wear sunscreen and protect your skin, that this could possibly happen to you too. I wish I could turn back time and put my sunscreen on.
Never underestimate the strength of the sun.
Given our history for short summers and a lack of sunshine, there really is something special about sunny days spent on the British coastline.
Beach holidays have a very special place in the British holiday heart.
We turn up in our thousands and we just want to splash about in that beautiful, cool water.
It reminds us of when we were young. We'd go back to the same place every year and we'd have that memory of how magical it was.
And it was that nostalgia that mum of 3 Emma wanted to share with her young children.
The Lincolnshire coast is especially wonderful. I've been going there since I was 2, so it's a really safe place where I've always felt comfortable to explore and wanted my children to have that experience.
If it's a place that you know well, you want to take your family back.
And to show them what wonderful, carefree times you can have.
Beaches are so great for kids because it provides an afternoon of absolute free entertainment, and it's constant.
They just love it. It just makes them so happy.
Having 3 little ones aged 3 to 6, Emma had planned a special trip to the beach with the kids to enjoy the summer holidays.
It was really important for me to give the girls a really magical weekend away. Quality mum time, having lots of fun, being together, making memories.
An amazing summer family holiday.
We had plans to take the camper van and do a 2-night stay along the Huttoff Beach coastline because it was very, very close to Huttoff Beach, which is my absolute favourite beach of all time. There's just so much there to see and do, and it's just a really beautiful beach.
So it's no wonder that this area in Lincolnshire has been picked as one of the UK's best wild walks. And given the huge flat beach, sand dunes and direct access from the terrace, it's the perfect camping location.
From the minute the kids woke up on the Saturday morning, they were absolutely nagging to get to the beach, and that's exactly what we did.
There's nothing I love more than just running straight into the sea. It's so exhilarating.
They just can't wait to get in.
But when they got to the beach, Mum Emma was horrified by what she saw.
On my way down to the beach trying to catch up with the children, I can see these piles of gunky stuff. I'd been going to this beach since I was 2 years old and had never seen it on the beach before. So I was a little bit miffed, like, oh, what's this stuff? And I just feel like something's not right. But then the smell hit me.
It stinks of poo, it literally stinks of poo.
And the penny dropped. Oh my gosh. My kids, we're standing in raw sewage.
It was human waste. It was poo.
My children were literally wading through sewage.
It makes me gag just thinking about this.
It was squeezing up through their toes.
What she was faced with was absolutely vile.
It was caked all under their feet.
It must have been completely shocking.
Too horrible for words.
I dragged them to the toilet block and literally we were trying to scrub out the sewage from their fingernails. The smell was so bad. We all felt like we were going to be sick.
I can't even imagine that.
And I'm stressing at them. I'm like, don't put your fingernails in your mouth, don't touch anything.
She's, of course, absolutely horrified.
I felt very angry that they'd been exposed to it and that it so abruptly ended what was going to be a very special family day for us.
However much you've been enjoying your holiday, it kind of stops right then.
And Emma whisked herself and the kids back to the campsite to try and clean them off.
We got back and straight away I had to get them in the shower and I just could not get rid of the smell. And I then started to feel quite sick and I started to get a sore throat, literally that soon. One of my daughter's noses started to stream. She kept saying she had a headache.
As a mum, it must have been very, very scary for her.
It really doesn't bear thinking about.
This is potentially a very dangerous situation with all sorts of diseases that the children could contract.
You can get illnesses from dirty water, particularly water that's polluted by sewage.
We know how bad it can be for our health, for our breathing.
I just felt so worried. I said, sorry girls, I've got to take you home. So we didn't even get to finish our holiday.
Despite immediately cutting the holiday short and trying to limit the amount of time the children were exposed to the sewage, unfortunately for Emma, the damage was already done.
That night when we're putting the kids to bed, my fear was actually manifesting because the young twins, you know, they were 3 at the time, they both started to get quite poorly and I felt really angry.
Being a conservational biologist, Emma was aware just how dangerous this situation really was and decided to take action.
I decided to tweet that video and I targeted it at our local MP, Robert Jenrick, who had actually recently voted to not clamp down on this issue.
Before long, Emma's tweet had caught the attention of the press.
The UK does seem to have an increasing problem with raw sewage turning up where it really shouldn't be.
These environmental issues that are happening really do impact firsthand your own children, the thing that you want to protect more than anything.
At the time, Anglian Water said, "We have thoroughly inspected the area, both at Huttoft and the surrounding beaches. There is no sewage in the water or on the beaches." The picture in her post on social media is of sea algae, which is a natural phenomenon, completely unrelated to sewage.
Now, you can't always directly correlate any stomach upsets with a particular incident, but we do know that the water boards have been pumping raw sewage into the beaches of the UK so much over the last few years. I find it quite hard to take what they say at face value.
This is not okay.
These companies make billions upon billions of pounds for them and their shareholders, and look what they're doing to our water.
Our children should not be exposed. We should not be being exposed to raw sewage.
Whatever it was in the water that day, Emma's hopes of a memorable holiday became memorable, but for all the wrong reasons.
It's just really sad because I was really wanting to bring my kids to a place where I've loved and adored growing up, and they could not have that same experience. It was that horrible and upsetting. I've not actually brought myself to go back there yet.
Would I go back to that beach after wading through that? Absolutely not.
One of the main attractions of a beach holiday is, of course, the ocean.
There's nothing more relaxing than puttering along on top of the water and looking for all the beautiful fish and the coral reefs below.
In fact, there's a whole other world that can and is explored by the 27 million people who go snorkeling every year.
Snorkeling is one of the most exciting, thrilling activities you can do when you're on a beach holiday.
Pair of flippers, goggles, and you can be one of the fishes.
It's great.
So, a beach holiday in Hawaii was the perfect location for Rachel from South Carolina to get her chance to explore the underwater world.
When I go on vacation, I'm gonna be surfing, I'm gonna be snorkeling, finding any trouble I can get into. And I've never been to Hawaii before.
Hawaii is a wonderful part of the world.
It's right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's a volcanic set of islands, which means it's really extreme.
Hawaii has an abundance of wildlife, and certain times you are able to go and share the planet with them.
I had 2 goals for my trip to Hawaii. I wanted to surf, and I wanted to go snorkeling and see a sea turtle.
And Rachel wasted no time in making those goals a reality.
I found this one beach online, and it said at sunrise you could see a turtle.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, really.
I set out way before dawn, headed to that beach. When I got there, there was nobody else around. It was bordering on the magical. I just start swimming around, like, okay, turtles, make my trip to Hawaii worth it. And then off in the distance, sea turtle. And I just beeline towards this little sucker.
She's finally got her dream come true.
She must have been so excited.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Turtles will normally swim straight away from you. They're faster than they look, but she has a real moment with them.
It's just an incredible experience.
They're kind of magical.
Not only is she swimming with them, she is fully interacting with turtles.
We could have maybe touched flippers, maybe. The problem was, I was so engrossed in this turtle, I was not paying attention to my surroundings.
When you're really excited by something, it's very easy to get taken away by the moment.
He is not only leading me further and further out, but he has led me into a lot of big rocky coral reefs.
The thing about sea turtles is they move. You're following it around, and all of a sudden you're in a very different environment.
This is the middle of the North Pacific Ocean.
We're talking huge rocks that are really, really jagged. And at first I'm into it, because I'm like, ooh, look at us swimming through the reef together. You know, me and my turtle pals. Suddenly, the waves turned. When the first wave hit, it was just so out of the blue. And the second one, bam! Smashed me into the rocks.
She's being bashed around by the waves.
The sea is a powerful thing.
And after that, it was just boom, boom, boom.
It must have been so disorientating.
Knocked off my goggles, busted my face into it.
You are not designed to cope with being hurled against coral.
It just felt like taking my face across a cheese grater.
She's just tumbling around.
I was helpless, and I'm a strong swimmer.
And there is nothing more scary than being out of control in the water.
Bam! The minute I could barely get up for air, bam!
That must have been so frightening.
About after the first or second hit, all I saw was red. And that's when I knew I might be in trouble.
Blood in the water is never, ever a good sign.
I was fighting it, but it wasn't doing anything. My strength was nothing compared to these waves.
It's quite a terrifying moment.
I just did not have any control over this situation. And I was just like, what do I do?
She is literally struggling for life.
I started to think, oh, I might not make it out of this. At some point, I'm able to see land. That survival instinct kicked in of move, go. And I just focused everything on that. Clawing, swimming, blobbing, I just shot towards that. Keep on going. That was the only thought I had. When I finally did reach land, that's when everything kind of hit me that I almost died in a very violent manner.
The natural world, however benign and beautiful it looks, can suddenly turn around and kick you in the teeth.
The relief that I felt was amazing. And I started looking over my body and I just really only had some scratches. I was very, very lucky.
After making it back to shore, the severity of the situation began to sink in, and Rachel began to question where it all went horribly wrong.
Didn't really tell anyone where I was going. That was my first big mistake.
Always take a companion. It's absolutely essential.
We're talking about the ocean. It has its own power.
It's very scary to think about what would have happened if I didn't survive.
Rachel has definitely learned the power of the ocean, but isn't put off by her lucky escape. Now she's more careful and takes extra precautions when on her adventures.
Next time I went into the ocean, I paid attention to my surroundings. I made sure people knew where I was going. But that was it. I was back hunting for new cuddly sea creature friends.
If you thought beach holidays were just for sun, sea and sand, then you've been missing out.
If you're a thrill seeker, a beach holiday is a great idea.
It could be jet boating, water skiing.
And someone who doesn't like to take a beach holiday lying down is adventurous, fun-loving Chi.
Growing up, I played a lot of sport. Played hockey for years and then eventually went to football. I like being a striker. It's where the action is. A bunch of us became really good friends, played every single week. We decided to organize a holiday together. So it was a 1 week, had a hotel on the beach. We just knew it was going to be a blast.
Looking to score some action, the idyllic Greek islands of Rhodes, complete with 42 world-class beaches, was the perfect choice.
We were all really excited. We're an active crowd, so we kind of knew that we were going to go there, play a lot of sports and games, polo and volleyball and stuff like that.
From beach volleyball to soaring high on a parasail, the group soon had all the adventures they could wish for.
So we ended up renting quad bikes for the day. I remember we went around the island and eventually we found this beach, beautiful white sands. People were parasailing, and when we saw that, we were like, absolutely, that's happening.
Psychologists agree that when we go on holiday, we actually turn into little children and we lose all of our inhibitions.
First up was Chi and friend Kerry.
Parasailing is you're tied behind a speedboat and you get a harness, and then as the speedboat gains momentum, you go off the back of the speedboat. It's way higher than you even realize you're going to go, but just incredible views.
Parasailing is a fantastic experience.
We love extreme sports! Yeah, we do!
It's known as an adrenaline sport. Not quite skydiving, but at the same time, it really pumps up your adrenaline.
On a high from her own parasail, Chi then tried talking her friends into also doing it.
They were a little bit scared, but me and Kerry had such a great time that we really built it up. We finally managed to convince Gemma and Ellie to come do it.
Chi set off on the boat also to film them taking to the skies.
The first kind of 10 minutes were awesome.
You're flying, really. You're floating in the air. You've got amazing views.
At one point, the guys on the speedboat will slow down and kind of drop you down so your legs go through the water. No, they're in. There must have been a shift in the winds because all I remember is that they went completely under.
I personally would have absolutely freaked out had that have happened to me.
They disappear.
No, they're in. The guys panicked. They obviously sped up significantly. He's upside down. Wait a minute, like something's really wrong. She was hanging upside down.
Uh-oh. Oh my God.
Terrifying.
The force of the water had unclipped her harness and Ellie was holding on to one leg. Uh-oh. She's managed to hook her other leg over the little seat and she was just hanging on for dear life.
To be 100, 200 feet in the air and to be dangling upside down.
You're at the whim of your friend holding your legs.
Stomach muscles must be unbelievably strong.
It was Ellie that was trying to wave us down. She's not gonna fall, is she? You realise in that moment, if she'd fallen, it would have killed her. She's not gonna fall, is she? The guys on the boat drew them back in very, very slowly. I think at that point, they realised the severity of the situation too. As they're kind of slowly coming back down, you're just kind of praying in your head that she doesn't slip.
I was watching thinking, at any point she's going to fall.
Pure adrenaline must have kept her holding on to that harness.
She was shaking, she was crying. She was definitely traumatized. She had a lot of whiplash. She had a big injury to her hip that really hurt her. Her back was very painful.
Poor girl, she looks absolutely frazzled.
I think it was a fluke and it just happened to us, you know, which sucks. We didn't even get a refund.
Although parasailing accidents can result in catastrophic injuries or worse, remarkably, Gemma's physical injuries caused no permanent damage.
I know she's never going to go parasailing again, that's for sure.
This could have been so much worse. They're athletes, so they've got great leg strength.
We're all incredibly thankful that nothing more serious happened to her.
Far-flung destinations such as Southeast Asia are popular with singles, families, and of course those looking to get away from it all.
I think there's something wired into the British psyche, which means that we just have to go off and explore the world. And it's a real rite of passage to head off to Southeast Asia.
And 26-year-old Jordan couldn't resist the urge to escape the rat race. So he quit his banking job and headed off to Cambodia in search of the perfect island adventure.
Welcome to Cambodia.
Cambodia has become a kind of little hidden gem in terms of beach holidays.
You've got such diversity. Down in the south, you've got the beaches. Up in the north, you've got the mountains, you've got the jungles, and you've got the incredible architecture of Angkor Wat.
Cheap, cheerful and beautiful.
It's a fantastic place to go.
Not to mention an unspoiled tropical paradise.
Just incredible. Koh Rong is one of the most beautiful islands you can travel to in Cambodia.
It is just an idyllic location.
You can have gorgeous snorkeling, beautiful white sand beaches, and it looked like this is going to be a perfect paradise island.
What a dream trip it must have been.
And it wasn't long before solo traveller Jordan made some friends.
I was out for a few drinks, meeting people, and it was someone's idea there to go out for the boat trip the next day, and I just said, yeah, why not?
Going on a boat trip is a very popular thing to do in that area of the world.
I've been to Cambodia and taken a boat trip exactly like this, and it was one of the most wonderful experiences of my life.
With only 2 days to soak up the sights, Jordan was keen to fit in one of the boat trips the island is famous for. But unfortunately, things weren't looking as idyllic as he hoped.
have a look at the weather.
When the weather's good, the weather is brilliant, but it can change quickly.
The idea was just to spend the whole day snorkeling, fishing, generally make the most of a beautiful island. If we get a little bit wet, that's fine.
You get in these small boats with a few beers on board, and they'll take you out for a bit of fishing, a bit of snorkeling. So it's definitely something he would have been excited to do.
We're heading towards where we're meant to be going fishing, and we're going up and down over these waves. We were in one of those small little long-tail boats, so you can feel everything. Right, here comes the rain.
If the weather gets bad, if it starts to rain, then that can really put an end to the joy in your holiday.
I jumped off into what was meant to be beautiful coral, and in fact was more like a dirty fish tank. You couldn't really see anything. And then the storm really hit.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
This is serious, like tropical weather.
The rain and the thunder overhead really got pretty intense.
These things can change very quickly.
That was terrifying.
In the UK, we simply don't have any experience of the way that tropical weather can just change in a heartbeat.
The thing about Southeast Asia is that while it looks absolutely blissful, the weather can be so unpredictable.
Cambodia sits in a tropical belt. It's a place that gets thunderstorms.
In a matter of minutes, you can go from paradise to panic stations.
So now I'm out in open ocean with this terrifyingly loud thunder and lightning going over the top of me in this tiny little boat.
A horrible situation where you've got no idea how it's going to end.
I think I would have just prayed.
The storm's coming in, it's getting pretty unsafe. Everyone just wanted to get back to shore, I think, because it really looked as if it could get a whole lot worse.
It must have been absolutely terrifying. Was he ever going to see his friends, family and civilization again?
With the storm getting worse, the crew had to think fast about how they can get everyone back to the shore against all the odds.
We're holding onto the sides, rocking all over the place, getting hit in the face with rain.
Despite hoping to get back to the shore, the crew felt it was unsafe to continue, and they were forced to moor the boat up in a deserted part of the beach.
We just raced to land because look at this. It's crazy. It was still absolutely freezing, and we were in an area which wasn't connected to the rest of the island.
He's got no idea where he is.
They are just stuck.
It's like something out of Lost.
So we knew we'd have to go back out via the boat and just make ourselves as warm as possible in the meantime.
They had no idea how long the storm would take to pass. All they could do was wait it out.
They've just got to embrace this storm until it calms down.
This is pretty torrential. We're starving, all feeling a little bit miserable. Whoa. It's kind of scary. I was really regretting taking this trip. So after a few hours stuck on that beach, the weather had dissipated a little bit and the boat crew thought this was our chance to head back.
They knew that it wasn't a good idea to set out whilst the storm was at its peak.
We were heading into the waves. You don't know where you're going. It's pitch black.
Absolutely terrifying.
When it's dark, you have no idea, just kind of bracing for the impact of the next wave.
I would have prayed just to see some lights.
Finally, after an hour of sailing in the dark, Jordan made it to terra firma.
I was just happy to be back on the land at the end of it.
Tropical destinations may offer scenery you could have only dreamed of, but it's important to remember to research the extreme weather conditions. Otherwise, your dream holiday could quickly become your worst nightmare.
It turns out it was the beginning of monsoon season and it could have been a whole lot worse.
Before you go, you really have to research that.
When Mother Nature really shows her teeth, you have to respect her.
I'd love to go back to Koh Rong and do it properly, maybe try this boat trip again and get to see the island how it's meant to be seen.